Welcome back to Healing in Spanglish. It's your hosts, Metztli and Ixchel, your Boyle Heights besties, figuring out what wellness looks like for us and our people.
So let's get real about healing in all the ways we weren't taught but deeply deserve. So the theme for today is surviving the 9-to-5 life. We're going to get into some of the pros, the cons, the exhaustion, and how we navigate through that lifestyle for ourselves.
Yeah, before we jump in, we're going to do our weekly check-in. First thing is our Spanglish word of the week. Ixchel and I were talking about the different ways that we refer to, as we refer to in my household, bolillos. I've heard a lot of other people, even from Mexico, refer to it as birrote.
Birrote.
Which was like weird to me because my friend and I were like, I was like, what do you want, a bolillo? And he was like, what is that? And I was like, I showed him. He's like, that's a birrote. It's not a bolillo. And then you say it completely different.
Yeah, but now that
it doesn't even look like it.
Yeah, I was gonna say now that I'm thinking about it, like they're completely different things. But it's the only bread we eat.
Only thing. Yeah. It's
so
like
it's the one. So ours is like pan francés, but you said in English goes to, what does it translate to?
That's French rolls.
French rolls. Yeah.
So and they look like French rolls.
They do. Yeah.
But that's the bread.
But the thing is, we buy it in like a long strip, so it's like all connected. So that's like
that's French rolls. Yeah.
Oh,
I see. Yeah.
But yes.
But yeah, we thought it was interesting that there's so many different ways that people say or refer to a bolillo, and
we speak the same language.
Yeah, we mean the same stuff, and it's still a different way of communicating.
We love that.
And then our mini healing confession. What are you working on?
I am working on making sure that I am prioritizing rest. Yeah, I haven't been honestly honoring it, and I feel guilty when I rest still. So I'm trying to just kind of like lay down, enjoy my leisure time. Yeah, so that's definitely mine, but it's not there.
Yeah. And you seem to have rested this weekend.
I did rest.
To do that.
I tried to rest. But I did feel guilty.
Yeah.
I felt because I have so much to do, and I was like, I don't want to.
It's hard. Yeah.
But yeah.
But it's what'll get you to be able to do the rest of the stuff that you
I know. So. I just have to think about it. It's important.
I get you though. It's tough. Yeah.
What's your confession?
Yeah, for me, so last week, Ixchel and I went to an event at the Gay Museum. It was fun. It was like a whole little adventure. We got a ton of food. Free food, keyword.
Yeah.
And there was a tarot card reader there. And she kind of reaffirmed something that I feel like I've been needing to focus on a lot more, which is focus less on the negative. I actually said that, like I did think about how literally every Sunday night before Monday comes around, I write a list of everything I didn't get to. And, I didn't think anything negative of that. But obviously, for anyone hearing this, probably thinks like, that's crazy. I write a list at the end of the night of everything I did not get to that weekend and what I still have to do. And that's my week. That's like my reflection of the freaking weekend. Instead of it being like, this is all the things I did do and all the fun I had and all the things I got to be a part of, rather than writing a freaking list of what didn't get done. So saying it out loud now like made me feel like, oh shit, no wonder. No wonder I feel anxious. Like, I'm writing all the things that I didn't get to do. And so,
like, what about all the other things you did get to do?
So I think, and one thing that she recommended me, literally knowing nothing about me, was to be more grateful and to write those things down. And I think that has been a practice in my past that has been really helpful. You don't really understand how important gratitude work is until you're doing it, to be honest.
Yes.
It feels small, but it actually goes a long way. And so, that's something that I'm working on, like actually reflecting on the positive and the things I'm grateful for, and not just thinking about what I didn't do, because then I'm living in the mindset of what should have been done but didn't.
Yeah.
It's very
negative. Wait, can I add on? I forgot. Yeah. So my mini healing confession. So I also was there at the event with Metztli. We went and the tarot card reader was there. And I think we were both very nervous for it. But mine was definitely trusting myself. Because I think that sometimes I know the things that I want to do intuitively, and it's things that I'm passionate about, but because my fears, like my limiting mindsets, like get to me, and I'm like, I don't know if this is the right choice for me, and I need like all these external like things to validate it. But she literally was like, you know what is right for you, and you're on the right path to your higher self. So I think just learning how to trust myself more in like the decisions I make, because it's like at the end of the day, like I think a lot about like karma, right? Like good karma, bad karma, like whatever I decide to do in my life, like I will deal with like whatever comes, right? The good, the bad, the negative.
Exactly,
So yeah, I'm working on trusting myself and my decisions because I'm a smart little bean. Like I know
you
I
are.
Yeah,
you are a smart little bean.
So, yeah, that is
one.
mine.
Cool,
yeah.
cool. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
And on a more lighthearted note, I wanted to ask you, what is your 9 to 5 ick?
Yeah, tons of 9 to 5 icks. The first ones that come to mind, I have 2. One is unnecessary meetings. Like, I feel like there's a ton of meetings in this world, and I'm sure everyone can agree, that do not have to happen over live video. Or for me, it's live video because I work from home. And could be just said in an email. Like, we don't need to be wasting an hour doing this. So that gives me an ick every single time. I'm like, what did I just do for the past hour? That. And also, I think an ick is just like someone else having control over my schedule. It annoys me because I have, oh gosh, I have to be careful. I have to be careful. I deal with, I mean, I guess a lot of people know this, but I have someone else who controls my schedule for interviews. And I guess it's an ick in the sense that, like, I don't have that much control over knowing when I'm going to have to interview people, designate time for it. So I'm trying to get better at communicating, like, hey, this is the time that works for me, and that's the only time I'm going to take interviews. But it kind of gives me the ick that, like, someone else gets to control what time I'm doing stuff throughout the day and don't get to, like, self-prioritize what I think works best for me. So that was an ick, but we're kind of working on that, so it should be getting better. But yeah, that's an ick.
I didn't know that. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
We could talk more offline about it. But.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
What about you?
My ick is that it's never really a 9 to 5. Like, we need to stop calling it that because that's not what it is.
It's true.
It's never 9 to 5. We're always working outside of like our regular hours.
Especially you, yeah.
Like I work probably more than the 40 hours a week. Like sometimes I'll do 50. Sometimes
on the weekly.
On the weekly, yeah. And sometimes I don't even get my weekends. And I'm doing good work, but also I am a human. I am not a robot to the system. So I need to also honor myself and my rest. And my other ick is also just thinking about like having to be in person all the time. Personally, like, how do I say this? Sometimes I just feel like there's a lot of conversations that are not centered around work, which I get, right? Like, you know, I guess that's the fun of like working in person. You have your coworkers, but sometimes I'm like, I would function. I feel like I low-key sometimes have ADHD. Yeah. Like I get distracted and I'm working on like not paying attention to people, but I would function so much faster and efficient if I didn't have anybody near me or works from home. And so that is my other ick. And my other ick is like... The third ick is like this false sense of urgency. Like, oh my goodness. Like I do not work in the ER. If I really wanted to be a surgeon, I would have gone to school for all those years.
That is so real.
Like, I don't understand why we have this false sense of urgency of like, this needs to get done right now.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's like, nothing's going to happen to
really
anybody.
Not that serious. That stress will be there tomorrow and the next day after.
True.
So... yeah, those are my fun little eggs.
So the first thing we kind of wanted to jump into is kind of this reality of like us making it as either first gen in general, right? Either college graduates or getting a job for the first time in a different kind of field or industry. And so a big part of that is there's sort of this like generational shift, right? Where a lot of our parents or grandparents work very labor intensive jobs. And we are the first to have a very different type of job, lifestyle. Working from home is an option. Being able to do, just very different structure. And a lot of that feels like we made it, right? Like we succeeded in what our parents wanted, what our ancestors or generations before us worked for. However, once you get into it, it's a different type of labor. Yeah. And, you know, for a lot of our parents and our grandparents, we think about, it's a physical labor. You know, it's a lot of physical labor, very difficult on the body. And it's true. And now we deal with a different type of labor that takes a different amount of energy and emotions and all these other things that sometimes feels like just as hard in a different way. And so, I'm curious, how do you feel when it comes to like our generation now? A lot of the times doing a different type of work or different industries, stepping into new spaces that maybe take a little bit more of like a mental and emotional approach, or like labor intensive in general, right? Like how does that, do you feel like that's true? How does that feel in the sense of like you kind of making it in the world of what our parents want for us? yeah, what's your thoughts there?
I think that for me, like, I can speak for myself because I know of like so many other folks that also have, you know, like made it, they graduated, you know, they're working and hustling and maybe still had to work a labor intensive job.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think the best way I can, sorry, that distracted me.
We saw something in the window. It was scary.
Spooky season. We're in a very privileged position. I think that most of us don't have to do very labor intensive job, but with that comes a lot of like guilt. Also like this feeling of like, I have to kind of stay silent in my suffering because I feel
grateful.
Yeah, I feel guilty, right? For saying like, oh my gosh, like I'm so stressed. Like this draw is draining me, right? So I think it's like a different type of stress that we experience, obviously not on our bodies, but more on like our mental health, our emotional health. So I have seen myself like just like struggling more in that sense. But the thing is that I also think my parents understand how difficult my job is. So they are very understanding of it, but I do try my best to not really like vocalize how I feel sometimes. Cause like, I think about like our community so much, right? Like our immigrant families who are still hustling, having to work like any job that's labor intensive. And so I think I'm very honored and very privileged to be in this position, but I also struggle a lot with being able to, you know, like kind of vent in a healthy way without feeling like I'm hurting somebody else as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think I agree with all of that. And I don't think I need to repeat anything other than like, I think it can coexist to like be validated in the struggle of our jobs because it is a different type of labor. There's a lot more intricacies that go into it. Like we work and have to learn all these new things and systems and
oh my gosh,
right? All this new stuff that our parents don't even understand what we share, like what we do for a job.
I know, my parents don't really know.
Well, basically I do this, but you know, exactly. But so I think it's like valid for us to feel those feelings and feel and know that it is a different type of labor, but also be grateful because we do get the privilege to experience or not experience a certain type of labor that really is hard on the body physically. And so, I think they can coexist, you know, dealing with both of those. And I just don't think it gives us any reason to invalidate our struggle as well, because it goes the same for school, right? When we're in college, like, well, I can't be complaining about writing an essay, right? Because it's so simple compared to what anyone else has done in my family. But it is valid because we were the first ones to be writing a fucking 20-page essay. Like, it's just not easy. The mental goes crazy. So it's like, it's okay to like feel that way because it is valid. These are new things that we're experiencing, new things that we're like dealing with. And a lot of sometimes imposter syndrome or just like feelings of not belonging and dealing with that in a workplace is a lot in itself. So or being the only one in the space who's like representing a certain experience for your family and you can't talk to anyone about it. So I feel like we can deal with both at the same time and be grateful and feel like our struggle is real anyways. Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. On a different note, like, did you ever feel like now that you're like in your first or like second, third job? Right. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah, did you ever feel like you did all the right things, like go to school, graduate, and all that stuff, but still feeling like you really haven't made it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So what's funny is when I first graduated from college, I did an internship the summer before I graduated. So like I was barely starting my last year of school and I was like, dude, everyone was so proud of me. I secured a job a year before I graduated. Like that's insane to think about in theory. So I felt proud of myself. My family felt proud of me. I landed a tech job. It was well paid. So I felt like I succeeded. Like I made it. And then I moved to the Bay for the job. And then 2 months into the job, I get laid off. I know. Corporate America. And so I felt like a failure. Like I felt like I fucked up. I felt like I did something wrong, even though it was literally the economy, like everyone was getting laid off.
Wait, did you graduate?
2022. Yeah, okay. It was in the midst of the impacts from COVID and everything was going downhill. So I blame myself though, which was interesting because it really wasn't my fault, but I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed by all of it. Point is though, that job made me feel like I succeeded. And then obviously it got taken from me. So I felt like I was not a success anymore. And then I found another job, soon after that. And I had all these jobs that like, actually I was getting paid really well for my age, for what my parents had ever thought about getting paid. Everyone was still proud of me, even though I persevered and I figured it out. and even my current job, right? Like I am very grateful for my job. I work from home. And so it feels like I did all the right things. Like I went to college. I was still a pretty high performing, like academically, like student. I got a job, full-time job after college, and I still have a full-time job that pays well. But somehow still I feel, not that I didn't make it, but that something feels like it's missing for myself.
But like, what's missing?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what it is?
Question. Well, it's interesting because I feel like I made it, and like you have this idea at a younger age, like you're going to be happy because you get a job that's like well paying and is stable supposedly, but like you're not really in control because you can get laid off at any point. But anyways,
yeah, lovely.
Yeah. But I felt like I did everything now right, and I still feel like, I mean, as an outsider, anyone who tells me oftentimes is like, well, Metztli, you've done it all.
Made it,
I'm like, you think that from the outside, you know?
Yeah.
But I think what I realized, like the thing that there was still a thing that's missing, right? Like even working from home, having the flexibility, work from life balance, whatever, it still feels like something was missing. And I think I've started to realize in the past year that a lot of that probably comes from the fact that unfortunately these 9-to-5 jobs are so mundane, like repetitive every single day, kind of drives you crazy. It feels like, am I working to live or am I living to just work? Because it takes up such a large part of my day. I'm like, I feel like I don't have time outside of my job. Out after my job's up, I have to cook dinner. I have to go walk my dog. And then it feels like I have to get ready for bed and start the next day again. And it's just like the same thing over and over again. So I feel like the thing that's missing from a 9-to-5 job in general for a lot of people that I talk to is it's just so repetitive. And it feels like, is this really what I'm going to do for the next 20 years? Like it kind of drives you crazy a little bit, you know?
Just that thought. Yeah.
Just the thought of like feeling like you're going to do the same thing for the rest of your life. And so, yeah, I think that that's the thing that feels like is missing in the sense that like purpose, maybe like feeling like I'm working towards something greater. And so that's why it's so important to have a life outside of your 9-to-5, because then what are you working for? Like, what is the reason that you're working towards so you can be able to do what, whether it's travel, whether it's be with family and friends, like I think that's the part that's missing. Like, it's just so repetitive to me.
Yeah,
I don't know about you. What feels for you that's like
missing?
Yeah. If it feels that way.
I mean, I think for me more so, I think I struggle a lot with like just knowing that like obviously everybody had a plan, right? You went to school, you graduated, you got this amazing job, you had financial stability, and like that was it. But like the reality of it is like that never happened.
Right.
That was a false like narrative
that we're told.
It's actually fucking insane when I think about it, because I'm like, especially as first generation like folks, like it's so fucking hard to navigate like applying to jobs, networking, like you have to learn so much for you to be able to make it out there, right? And then like more affluent communities already have this like pack in their backpack, like
already have
their daddy knowledge. Works at like a law firm, right? And so like a lot of us have to really create those spaces for ourselves. And so I think for me, I have a lot of like resentment towards like those narratives that were sold to me at a very young age, because it made it seem like, oh my God,
it was all going to work out. It was going to work out.
But that's the rose-colored glasses came off the second I graduated, because that was not fucking my case. Like I struggled. I really struggled. Like I was unemployed for like the first 6 months after I graduated. And then I found like a part-time job as like an assistant site coordinator. And I think my other beef that I have is like obviously working like, because I work with people like in communities that need, you know, like help. And so I love it. Like that's something I'm really passionate about. But I think I didn't realize that obviously because we live in a corporate world, because capitalism is what is, you know, what we experience, that was also going to like be very overbearing in those jobs. And so like, I get very upset at like the systems in place, like the sort of compliance we have to do. And I'm like, fuck this shit, dude. Like I'm just trying to help this human that's right in front of me.
But there's so many things.
There's so many like bureaucracy, rules, like that shit pisses me off. And so like,
for sure.
I've also had to navigate through like just making peace with it, because that's just the nature of the job, right? Like, God forbid they want to sue the company, like that shit, all that stuff pisses me off. So I think for me, it's been hard in that sense, right? And so I've had to like swallow that hard pill, being accepting of those situations. And so that's mainly my experience with it. Do I feel like something is missing? Not really. I think that because I do work with like kiddos that are from like immigrant households,
you get to see it directly.
So I see my kids. I've seen these kids like since they were like maybe freshmen in high school and the way they grow and they progress and just seeing them like make it. But I also get really sad because I try not to sell a false narrative, right? Because a lot of them are high excelling kids. They're so smart and I really see them going really far. And I hope that they make it really far. But it is really scary to know that like after that, I don't know, it's out of my hands, right? Yeah.
And they're going to have to experience some of the things that you had to for the first time.
Exactly.
And some of those things are heartbreaking to learn for the first time.
It's really hard. Sure. It's really heartbreaking. And so I think for me in that sense, it doesn't feel like it's missing.
Right.
But I do think that I do hold a lot of resentment towards like the systems in place and like what they tell us. But I do know that I love working with people. So I think now I just have to kind of find like where I want to do it necessarily. Right. And I think I found it. Just like, I think it's been a roller coaster. I think you find it, but yeah, I also agree. It does feel like very repetitive, very mundane. I mean, there's times where obviously I have a lot of administrative work to do, so I don't see the kids all the time, and I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
shit.
That's like, where I struggle with.
I struggle with it so much because my impact is directly with people, but I also have to do so many other things, and it's hard.
There's a lot of things under the role. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I feel that, and I think maybe that's why I struggle more with it because I work from home 5 days a week, so like I actually don't see the impact of my work. The one time I do, or the few times I do throughout the year when I'm like actually in person to visit students, I'm like, dude, it reminds me this is why I do this, because I work in education as well. Similar worlds,
parallels.
But like I don't see it because I'm behind the scenes all the time, and it's just like hard to not see that direct impact because sometimes you want that like immediate reward of like feeling like you're doing something for the greater good, and you don't always see that in every role, especially people who work office jobs. You don't get to see that every day.
I don't know how people do that.
I know. I'm like, you never see what the bigger picture is at the end of the day, so it's interesting. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is maybe this like generational shift as well on like what even success means. So I'm curious like what your thoughts are around that. Like, do you think our generation started to change their way or perception of what success even means for us now, or is it the same as before?
I think for the most part it is the same. I will say that. I think a lot of us are sold that it's like we need to buy this home, we need to have all these like cars and all these things, and I think a lot of people are still sold on that. But I can speak for myself that I think I don't see success as that. I think success is like having time to spend with my family, having time to spend in community with my friends, having financial stability, having running water, like having access to meals and food. And so that's kind of like how I see it, just having the very simple things in life. And I think also having the time to do those things because
the time.
Like my idea of success is just being in a place that like values me as a human before like what I can produce. And so if I work for a company or whoever that like values me in that way and like allows me to have that work-life balance, then I think that's how I know I've made it, because I think I really need, what I've noticed is I need all those beautiful things that I look as success to be able to feel like good at work and perform well. Right. So I would say that's my idea of success. Nothing crazy, just the little things in life. But I do think for like some folks in our generation, it has shifted, but maybe for others, it's kind of stayed the same.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people are still, and there are parts to it that I understand, right? Like it's what your parents want. And a lot of our success, I think, in our generation comes from what our parents want, and so we want to give them what they want too, like stability and financial security, and so a lot of those things get interpreted into like those milestones that we're like told are like what's going to get us there, right? Like school and house, and which is not always the case because a lot of work goes into it, but I agree, a lot of people are fed that. And I think what's just really important that a lot of us try to remember or work towards remembering is what we're working for. Like, why are we spending all these hours at a job? What is the reason? Is it to provide, to spend time with family and friends? Is it to do this? And actually making the time for those things, because then your life's gonna like go go by so fast. I feel.
I agree.
So it can change tremendously.
Do you ever feel like a performative side of you comes out? Any code switching going on?
No.
What is that?
No, I definitely. And it is really interesting because I do feel like not a completely different person, but I work with different people. My team is primarily white.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh yeah. We're a really small team of 8 or 9 people. Most of them are white. and come from different parts of the US. So that's already different as well. I'm the only one in LA. So yeah, I think being performative at work is interesting because sometimes you don't even catch yourself doing it. But in college, what I like get exposed to and seeing how people behave. And I think even all these like professional, all this professional terminology and behaviors, right? Like how we have to dress up in the workplace, how we speak, how we put our hair, how we, what we wear, what we put on ourselves, resumes, they're all centered around a certain way of like presenting yourself, which is not necessarily, it's like a westernized, view of how we can come off as professional, which is a huge problem. But I think I also like by accident or just like, in those spaces kind of like change my behaviors a little bit because of the people I'm around. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's just like part of the trying to like mold into the system when I feel like I need to be. Also, I feel like I feed off of other people's energy. So like if someone's being so service level, I will be the same. Like, yeah, how's the weather? Everyone asks, how's the weather? I'm like, do we really care about how's the weather today? Literally, I cannot with the how's the weather question. Like everyone asks that. I'm just like, is this what y'all talk about?
No, literally. You know the one I hate the most
is 76.
Hey, how are you? Good. How are you? Good. I hate that. I hate having that interaction with someone. I know. It pisses me off.
I can't with the weather question, bro. Every single day I can
ask,
how's the weather where you're at, Metztli? And I'm like, probably like 2 degrees different from where you're at in San Francisco.
Like we have an app where we can see that now.
Yeah. I feel like it's just like a filler thing. But that's the thing. There's a lot of filler in like performativeness or like just like that culture. Just like
it feels so robotic. Like
No, even in other spaces though, like outside of work, like those professional spaces like networking events, I also feel like I have to be a little performative. And I don't know why sometimes it's so hard to talk to some people. Like I was struggling to talk to people there because I was literally trying to ask them literally anything possible and they were just like giving me nothing. I was like, what do you do outside of work? Like, what do you enjoy doing? Oh, I like watching sports. Didn't ask me back. What do I like? It's just, I really have to pretend like I care sometimes. And that's just the nature of like certain spaces that are not, they're just super corporate. I don't know. Like,
I just feel like a lot of interactions in people who live in like a lot of the corporate world, like that's just how they function. Like that becomes who they are. And so it feels very weird to interact with them.
Do you feel like at your workplace, even though you work in the community, right, in East LA and surrounding communities, do you feel like you still have to be performative with coworkers at all or anyone?
No, I don't feel like all the time, but I think there are certain people that I do have to feel like I have to be performative around. Like when I think about like, I'm like, should I say this? People
like be real, maybe like real about work. You're saying?
No, I mean like I do. Sometimes I have to be performative, but not all the time. It's not like who I am. But for the most part, yes, I think in like certain spaces, like obviously if I'm talking to like my boss's boss, obviously it's I'm like gonna
a different relationship.
Yeah, like I don't feel, obviously they have a different relationship where I feel like they can just be more themselves. But I do feel like I have to perform a little because I'm like at the end of the day, like you're still a boss, like right? And so like I think in my job, I have felt like I've been less performative because of the nature of the work that we do. And so I feel like I'm more authentically myself, but I've been moved around a lot in like where I work. So I've been at different locations over the past like 2 years that I've been there. I've been at 3. And so the one that I'm currently at, one of them, I do feel like I have to be performative because I work with like a person.
You kind of fill out the person and see how they behave first and then learn what you can actually do and say.
Exactly. And so I feel like this person is kind of functions in the same way, like corporate level.
Yeah, so it's like you have to match that.
And I also feel like we are significantly different. So I have noticed already that when I do share certain authentic parts of myself, this person has like no capacity to hold space for that part of me. And so they either like make fun of it or some ways. And so I've kind of had to learn to place boundaries and code switch, unfortunately, to protect myself and my own peace. But
for sure.
I do say that because we work with teens, like a lot of us have to be silly and whimsical, right? Because we work with kids, right? And so like within my own department, when we all meet together, I do feel like we're all ourselves and it's so much fun. I love that personally because I fucking hate the corporate world. So
it's different,
it's a different world, but I do think that definitely outside of outside of that, like when I'm at other events or like networking, I do see myself code switching a lot, and I hate it so much.
I know, it's so funny.
I don't like functioning that way, and it just happens naturally.
It's like exhausting too.
It's so exhausting.
Afterwards, I'm like, why do I feel so tired from doing that for an hour?
It's really exhausting. I'm like, I can't live this way. And so I also feel very sad when like that just becomes like the nature of someone. Like they're just performing all the time and thinking in these a lot of corporate terms. And I also think like what you said earlier, like if we really think about it, it's like they want us to dress very properly. They want us to speak very eloquently.
What is proper? Like that is interpreted
up for interpretation, literally. Yeah. And so I think a lot about like what it's trying to make us look like, and what's seen as like normal, and what is deemed as bad, and so
or not professional.
Like like I always like, even getting tattoos, like when I was going to work, like that was something I was nervous about. So I think I like stopped myself from getting certain tattoos because of work, but at the same time I'm also like, fuck that, like I'll just wear a long sleeve.
It influences how we want to be, for sure.
Exactly. So I'm very fortunate that I haven't been in like those crazy corporate spaces where I do have to perform, because I think I would probably cry every single day I come home, but
for sure,
luckily I am not in that position. So I would say I don't have to perform too much at my job. Now we're going to talk about the mental and emotional side that comes with the 9 to 5. And so Metztli, what's something that you've had to navigate when it comes to like coworkers, like dealing with folks that are maybe like emotionally immature or toxic in your workspaces? Like how have you navigated those conversations and the interactions with them?
Yeah, I feel very fortunate that for the most part, my team is like actually really supportive. I think the thing that very much influences your experience at any job is your supervisor / boss. Like that makes up a lot of your experience. And thankfully I have a cool white girl who's actually really chill and progressive. And I'm grateful for that, because it could be so different, you know? We love our progressive white girl.
We love it.
The bare minimum for us. No, but I have had situations in the past, and you know, even having dealt with it, coworkers who emotionally immature or just emotionally unavailable, like is what I've dealt with. Where because our work is driven by like education, and we're working specifically with teachers, a lot of the things that I share or where I come from is definitely driven by how I feel, like what our residents need more of. Financial struggles are a big thing for a lot of the people we work with, obviously. And so I often come up with ideas that I want to like get creative with to help our, you know, students more. And I've dealt with coworkers or people who like kind of just want to stick to tradition, like just want to do what they've already been doing for years because they've been in that position for a long time and aren't really open, and feeling like dismissed oftentimes, like not feeling like my ideas can be, you know, considered or actually being taken seriously, like actually us trying it. And so I've struggled with that in that sense, that like there's been things that I've struggled with.
That's crazy. I'm like, is that a microaggression?
No, I know, right? I'm trying to figure out what that is, but but it is hard when you deal with people like that, because these are the people that you work with every single day. And so coworkers, bosses, like to deal with emotionally immature or unavailable or toxic in general, that's tough, because these are people that you're literally talking to every day. And I see it in some of my friends or people that I know that like experience that. And I guess the way I deal with it is, one, definitely like making space between us. Like if there are ways that I could, and that's what I've done with my coworker, like if there are ways that I can work on projects independently rather than collaboratively, unfortunately with you, I'm not gonna try. I've already tried. And at this point, I'm going to step away and try to find ways to do things on my own so that we don't have to engage as much, because that energy then I take with me the rest of the day, and I don't need that. So I've done a lot of that, like stepping away. I've also talked to my supervisor about it. So like she also knows and has helped me navigate ways that I can, solution / if that didn't work, like at least she knows and is aware of that situation. And that makes me feel better that like she's supportive and trying to find ways to like help me navigate that. So I think that's one of the biggest ways that I deal with people like that. Talking to other people as well, friends that also deal with similar things, is reassuring that I'm not alone. And that like you can also get a lot of ideas from other people around you of how they've dealt with it. Talking to my therapist about it and ideas that they can give me.
We're ranting.
Yeah. So I think that's usually how I've dealt with it. And also though, like if it's toxic to the point where like the majority of my environment feels draining because of the people around me, I will definitely leave the job. Like, I will go and make it a priority to find a place that will not drain me that way. So I've had that situation in the past where I absolutely hated my previous job with the people I was working with. And so, that's how I've kind of like navigated those situations in that way. How about you? Have you dealt with like, and then I guess this also feeds into how have you dealt with like even microaggressions, or we talked a little bit about code switching, but things like that at the workplace too. Like that's also very much emotionally, mentally draining. How have you dealt with those things?
Yeah, I've unfortunately experienced too many of these situations. And it's very sad to see that people in positions of higher power are acting this way. Like, it blows my mind.
Sense of like they're
because sometimes I work with teens, but then I'm like, sometimes I feel like some of the people that are on those levels are also acting like kids. And I'm like, well, to be honest, my kids are more emotionally mature than you. So I've had a fair share of situations. Like I said, I've been at different locations, and it's very unfortunate that I've seen kind of like a copy paste. Right. And so I've dealt with emotionally immature folks, folks that also are low-key a little racist, folks that are very mean and toxic. So it's been a very interesting experience for me, because I guess my assumption of it is like, obviously if you're working for a place that's working to help the community, better like society, by default, these people wouldn't be shitty people. But unfortunately, we do have people that are not the greatest. And I really wish they would change, but whatever's. But I think I used to have a person that I used to work with that was very mean to me and would make me feel like I was little. And a lot of it was like, I don't know, I guess they see themselves in like a higher position, or because they have more experience and whatever. By all means, I respect like, everything you do, but at the same time, I'm like, you shouldn't treat people in a horrible way. And everybody doesn't have a great experience with this person. Like every time you mention the name, people have an experience with this person. And it's really sad, because I'm like, people perceive you in this way. This is the energy that you give off. And me and this person have butted heads multiple times. Like I even got told I was unprofessional once, just for simply like accepting a job offer. And so I thought that was insane to me. And so, I've dealt with a lot, and it's been very hard, because there was times where I was literally yelling in my car before I had to go into work. And I think for me, it did reach a breaking point, but I was also like, it's paying me. Like it's hard. It's hard. Like it's doing what I need right now. And so, and I've also had situations like when you mentioned like, microaggressions, I never thought I would experience that working in like nonprofit. It's insane.
Exactly.
Like the cognitive dissonance that exists in some of these spaces with people, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like,
it's real.
I really think like some people just haven't had experiences with like other folks, or they lived a much privileged life, so obviously they don't know certain things. But I'm like, that doesn't give you like an excuse to be a horrible person and to be racist. So I think what I have done is, honestly, I am a person that doesn't like to stay quiet, and apparently I wear my emotions on my face. From what I've heard, I didn't know that I wore my emotions on my face, but I'm grateful for that, because sometimes I will be quiet, but my face,
you could tell.
So just keep an eye out. But I think I have spoken up in a bunch of instances where I've heard someone say something racist. I'm like, you don't say that. Like, you do not say that.
Time to educate.
Like. But also I'm also in this position of like, I don't want to fucking educate.
Of course not.
Person, right? But
waste your it's not your responsibility.
Energy, and like I also hate when I get questions like after I'm explaining to you. I'm like, do I really need to? So I've had to find a balance of like, because I notice it for me, like my heart starts racing. Like I start feeling.
You start feeling the anger rush.
No, literally, like I start feeling so disgusting that I'm just like, I'm just going to protect my peace, and I'm going to move strategically with these interactions. And so that's what I've done. But also just venting to like my friends or other folks that have also had experiences with these people. But it's really hard, honestly.
It is.
I didn't know that I would come across these interactions with people in these spaces, but unfortunately, you can find racism anywhere. You can find toxicity everywhere.
And I think more of the story that you're saying is like protecting your peace, because it is hard, because you have to like pick your battles too. Like where am I going to choose to educate someone, and where am I going to choose to just like not even let it bother me and move on with my life, So it is a lot of like protecting your peace and deciding when it's worth your time and energy, and just being able to walk away and
just not
feed into it, because it ends up
so it's funny. It's crazy because when I've told this to a few select friends, they're like, girl, I would have lost my shit. Like I wouldn't have fucking cared if I'm at work. And I'm like, is this a professional like conditioned self coming out where I'm not saying anything? But I don't know. I have, but it's also a balance, because I'm like,
it is a balance.
I have so much work to do that I'm like, I don't have time to educate this racist person right now. I really have to focus on this and just move forward with it and moving strategically.
Yeah, for sure.
I hope a few of you know what that means.
Yeah,
but
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think so. Another kind of emotional and mental exhaustion that a lot of people experience is you kind of like were hinting at it, but feeling like the work never ends. Like your work is just, you're doing work every single day, and then it just continues to never end, and you feel like it's a never ending list of things that you have to do. I feel like in the nonprofit space, you might often feel that way. Yeah. How do you deal with that? Like, what keeps you like okay to like turn off? Well, for you, it's like in person, so it's a little harder.
Yeah, it's harder.
I could talk about that more maybe, but how do you like separate it so you're not like taking it home with you and able to separate and also going into like how maybe the 9-to-5 life impacts your outside life? Like, how do you find balance, if not some sort of balance in separating what you're having at work and not carrying it to like your outside life?
Yeah, I think definitely when I get home, or on my way home, I try to decompress from work. So I listen to music, I listen to podcasts. Just something that helps me like get me out of that workspace. Yeah, I think for the most part, I've had to practice it where I'm like, I'm not going to let this affect me in my personal life. And so sometimes I'll just like rant to myself in the car or like think about it in my own head, like have a moment to like also validate everything I just experienced for the past like 9-10 hours. And I also try once I go home not to talk about work.
Yes,
unless
that's a
it's
good
like,
one.
Unless it's like something crazy, because I feel like before, I used to always talk about it, and then I spent like a full hour after
that's like home. Your whole life then for us.
In my physical like protective space, like my sanctuary, still talking about work. So I think just not talking about it, and just when my mom asked me, she's like, "How are you?" And I'm like, it was all right. But I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, it is what it is. I left it behind me. Once I entered this door, it disappeared. So I think just recognizing that, and also I think journaling has also helped me, like the amount of times I wrote about like the things I've had at work. But yeah, it has to be a practice that you like get into. But it's been difficult, I will say, because the nonprofit space demands a lot of you, and a lot of it is like
9 to 5.
It's not a 9 to 5. And so a lot of it is, I think they like to say like, it's all for a greater purpose and a mission. And while I do agree, I also do think that it's unfair to basically preach certain things, and but yet
provide that
for your employees. The employees are suffering. You can see it. Sometimes I look at my coworkers, I'm like, you literally look like you were dying inside.
Yeah, no.
Like that is so sad. And the fact that this company's like, no, but we got to do this, and we got to do the greater this. And I'm like, what about your employees, dude? Yeah. Like, do you really care about your people?
Ironic.
It's very ironic. Yeah. And so I think
for sure
it's been very difficult, and I respect the work that's being done. And by all means, I'm not trying to talk shit, because, I love the work that they do, right? We're venting. And it's also my experience. Like, oh my goodness. But it is very draining. So I think I also learned, I've worked in therapy so much to learn how to place boundaries that I can at work, right? Because at the end of the day, it's my job. But I do try to place boundaries as much as I can, and like also let my supervisors know when I'm feeling overwhelmed or feeling like I can't keep up with all of this. But it's really hard. I don't think I've still created a plan that works, because I just think that the nonprofit space, it's like you always have 30,000 things to do, and that's just it, and you have to be accepting of it. So I've made peace with it. There's like nothing much that I can change. It's just a systemic thing in the way it functions. So making peace with it, trying to find balance when I can, and just knowing that like if I've outgrown a space, just being mindful of that, and like also taking the steps to, figure out what else I want for myself.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. Yeah. And I feel like I have a really different experience because I work from home. So for me, it is quite literally needing to be able to like shut down the laptop, because my life of work is on the screen. And so, I think for me, a lot of what helps me kind of get in the practice to like being able to separate it, because I have a different kind of privilege where like I'm not in person. So I can just shut it off, right, when I need to. But it does feel like there's always things that I can do, right? Like there's always another project I can work on, another more people I can reach out to, more, there's always, it's never ending. And I think it is a lot of acceptance of knowing that that's just the nature of also education. Like there's always so much you can do. And I think this goes for any job though, like any industry, there's always something you can do. It's not like, oh, well, there's nothing left to do. So I think a lot of it helps me too. Like at the beginning of the days of work, I like lay out what I'm going to work on for that day, what like kind of my priorities are, and then being able to get that done so that I can make sure to get those things done throughout the day. And then when I'm done with those tasks that I know are priority, being able to shut it off. And so I feel like that's how I like am able to separate a little bit more of like what I need to get done versus like can always have like a list that's never ending. So yeah, it's just a balance of like making sure to prioritize the things at the beginning of the day and then separating it in that way.
Yeah, I agree.
For our last section of this conversation, before we close it out, I think we just want to share a little bit more about the importance of finding identity outside of the 9 to 5, even throughout the work week. If you are working a typical 9 to 5, how important it is, and also the importance of just like finding micro moments of joy even throughout the week. And so that's why I think we kind of wanted to touch a little bit more on what you can do to make sure that you find a balance, because it is real. As we've just talked about, the mental, the emotional exhaustion that goes into our jobs, it's a lot. And it can often feel repetitive, and it can often feel never ending and overwhelming and stressful. And so it's really important that like we do find joy throughout the week for ourselves, to make sure that we are just doing that to make ourselves happy and not go insane. So yeah, why don't we like share both of us a little bit more about what are the things that maybe you do throughout the work week that help you find joy throughout that week, or even if it's at work, what are the things that you try to do to make it more enjoyable, or change it up a bit? Yeah. What are the things that like come to mind?
Yeah, for that? I think, for me, I would say like I have my personal time before work gets started. So I typically like work out. I have time for myself. Like I have a slow morning. So I think that does a lot of like the preparation before I go into a really crazy intense work day. So I think that helps me. And so like just knowing that like I need to prioritize this before I go to work in order to feel great. And at work too, like I like to take my breaks. I'm like, I will get up to take my little 10-minute break. I like to get up, stretch sometimes, because I just be like hunched over like on the computer sometimes, and I don't like that. And also taking my lunch outside of work. A lot of folks don't take their lunch like outside of their desk, and it's so sad. I'm like, people fought for us to get a 30-minute break, and you're taking it right here at your desk and still looking at the laptop. Like, so for me, I've found that to function. So I like to go outside. I put on a little show, or sometimes I'll just look at the trees and I'll sit outside in the sun. I'm like, I don't get a lot of vitamin D, so I'll sit out here. Or sometimes going to grab like a little coffee too as well, maybe like for lunch. And I would say like that's the most of what I can do, because I unfortunately do work in person. So there's only so much I can do. But those are some of the little habits that I've implemented to be able to feel like I'm not going crazy.
Well, even though I work from home, it's actually sort of similar where because I'm on my laptop, it's so easy to like be locked in for hours and like forget that you're doing something else or should get up. And so I also like try to at lunchtime go outside, because I can just easily be inside the whole time. So go outside, take my lunch outside. Also really helpful to have a dog with me, because I'm like, I care about her well-being. And so I want to take her out to go outside. So if the weather permits, I will go on a little short walk with her too, to like move around more. It's just important to like move your body, and feel that in that way. And it makes me feel better throughout the day. I also, because I work in a more, it's not a corporate space, but just, it's a virtual space. I try to create relationships with people who also I can connect to at work. So I started doing like these informal coffee talks with like some of my coworkers. So just like we did like a Halloween themed one. And even though those things are like really
in person
small,
or virtual?
No, virtual.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But we like will bring pictures of us, like of our favorite Halloween costume. And so we did that last week. So it just makes me feel like more connected with the people, and also like separating some like work time and just like getting to know people as human beings, because we don't have that in-person experience and can't just like have lunch with each other. Like we can't do that. So I do that, like go outside, do little moments of like informal chats and stuff like that. That's enjoyable. And then I agree, like before the workday too, I will, do things to kind of like help me get prepared for the workday. So things that are personal to me that I enjoy, like working out, going outside in the garden and like watering stuff. So also making sure that like I prioritize time for myself outside before the workday is really helpful for that transition. And then after work, because I work from home virtually, I try to also be in spaces with other people that are, so if you also like are maybe more isolated like I am, I crave like connection, whereas maybe like you work with a lot of people, so like you're like, I need space alone. So it might be different for you, but for me, I'm like, I crave connection. I'm like, I haven't seen any human being the whole day. I will make time to like go to like a local East LA to a local like running group, or to like a community space, or like a little event that's happening or something like that kind of will bring me some sense of like joy and for the week, because there's not so much time. So at least if I could do that for an hour, it's nice.
I agree. Like also doing things even after work, even though I know it can be exhausting, but you know, doing something fun, maybe going to a little event. But just
1 hour
out of it.
1 hour.
1 hour. Yeah.
Cooking is also really fun to me. I enjoy it. So it's a fun process for me. And so that brings me some joy of just like, it allows you to slow down because it's a process. So I also like doing that.
I also like to think also as a little reminder, it's that some of the things we might do after work, even though we're exhausted, can like energize you, even if you felt like you were too exhausted to go to that space or do a certain thing.
Exactly.
So I have one last question for you. How have you started healing your relationship with work without feeling like you need to quit?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's kind of the same thing that we've been talking about. Like, what gets me to not quit my job is knowing and reminding myself on a weekly basis what I'm working towards. And I think something that I heard actually on a different podcast, a very famous podcast, Jay Shetty's podcast.
I was going to quote him.
Well, I saw like this, it was a YouTube video. Actually, it wasn't his podcast, I think, but he was saying that like, regardless of your job, if it feels like something that you really care about or something that you really want to do, any job or any experience that you have is serving some purpose towards like the direction you want to go. Is that what you were going to say, bro?
No. That's not what I was going to say, but it's the same episode I watched.
Oh, okay.
I find it funny.
That's hilarious. Well, I just think like, regardless of your job, if it feels like it's serving you, like the dream job, if it's still not that, or if it feels repetitive, if it feels whatever it is, something that I really liked that he had shared was find a skill that you can work on that's going to help you for whatever you're going to next. Find time to do something in that job that's going to help serve the next step. Even if it's one thing there, like take advantage of the time. You're already doing it. Don't live in the misery of it. Instead, find a thing that will bring some greater purpose towards where you're going. Because every single experience you have, whether it's something that you're like, I hated this, I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life, whatever it is, there's something out of it that can like be a bigger purpose. And that's how I feel about my job. I'm not going to be a recruiter for the rest of my life. I know I'm not, but it does require me to have a lot of skills that I get to practice that I know are going to serve me in the long term, that I can practice now for that end goal. So I think that's like what I would say like has helped me kind of switch my mindset from like survival mode versus to like more intentional work and thinking about finding some intentionality in what I'm doing in my job now.
I love that.
What were you going to say?
Mine is on a similar note. Honestly, we watched the same episode.
That's hilarious.
But I think for me, I used to hold a lot of resentment towards my job because of just how intense it was. But I think making peace with the fact that knowing that this is the nature of the job, right? And so I just have to accept that that's what that is. And also taking the time to also acknowledge, like, are there any skills that I can still learn in this space? Like, what can I use this opportunity is to be able to grow. And I like what you said, like the good, the bad, right? Like everything will teach you anything.
Exactly.
And like, obviously you're working towards that next step.
And more clarity in general.
Right? Yeah. Cause I feel like this job is giving me a lot of clarity and I'm so grateful for that. Even though it was,
there you go.
Yeah. It was hard. And you know, I already have the clarity that I need. I'm like, great, this is what I needed. And so now I just have to take the action steps. But also just like understanding that each job that you go to will come with its pros, its cons. Like stress will follow you.
Working under someone will always come with that.
Yeah. And so just making peace with those things makes me feel more comfortable with my job. And so I'm like, this is what it is. Just accept it and just kind of move forward. And I know what I want now. But I think also like the new skill set is a really good one.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
What can I learn? Because obviously I'm stressed, but what can I continue to learn? Because there's always opportunities to learn.
Yay, love that. All right, y'all. So we're going to do our little fun activity to close out the episode. I'm calling this workplace bingo. So you're going to say yes or no if you've done these before in the workplace. All right. Camera off the entire meeting.
Yes.
Easy. I think we've all done it. Have you ever done that thing where you like said, "Can you hear me?" like a million times? Like,
so many times. Yes.
Yeah. Virtual life. Yeah. How about, have you ever forgot you were on mute while talking or no?
No.
Really? Dude, I have, but I didn't say anything crazy. But I've heard other people like full on conversations. Oh gosh, I feel so bad for them.
No, I'm very careful about that.
No, I'm so careful, but oh my gosh, not everyone's careful. I've had to mute people because I feel bad for them. Okay, how about pretending to take notes, but you were really on your phone?
No. I pretend to take notes, but I'm just like doodling or doing something else. Yeah.
Okay. I don't even think I'm pretending to take notes. I'm just like maybe looking at something else and I don't give a fuck. Okay. Yeah, joined a meeting that should have just been an email.
Yeah, way
like,
too many.
I shouldn't have joined. Yeah, feel you. Yeah. Have you ever scheduled an email for later, like towards the end of the day, like if it's like 4 or 5 p.m., just so it looks like you were working at that time?
I actually haven't done it.
Really?
But after reading this, I'm like...
You're like, that's a good idea. I don't do that often. I just forget to schedule low-key, but it is a really good practice if you want to. Read an email and said you'll respond later, and then you never did. You forget.
Yeah, I have so many emails.
Dude, I know. It's hard to track emails. Like, how do you, like, you open it, and then how do you remember to go back? It's
too much.
You have to check it a lot. Had a mini existential crisis on your lunch break.
All the time. Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
It's horrible.
Rethinking, my existence on this earth. Yes.
Me, it's more like at the end of the day. Because I'm like, the whole day is like weird because it's work from home. So I'm like, at the end of the day, sometimes I'm like, where did my day go? Got praised with you're such a good team player instead of a raise.
Yes. Like, I don't care.
I'm like, thanks now. How can you reward me for that?
Where's my money?
Monetarily.
I don't want an award. Where's my money?
Have you ever ate lunch at your desk?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
But I try not to.
I've done it in meetings before, yeah. Like, I've just...
They just overlap sometimes.
That's when people have control over my schedule and I don't have a place to put it. That's why I don't like it. Checked your work phone after hours, even though you said you wouldn't. Because you have a work phone.
Yes.
Yeah. And is it because you see something come in and like you can't help it, or no, like you have to answer it?
So sometimes it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
So I feel like recently I have been checking it outside of my work hours and I don't have to because I hear it vibrate and I feel bad putting it on D&D because it's the work phone.
And is it because it's students?
It's like students or like it's an email or
That's tough.
So like especially like Mondays because they're typically doing things during the weekend and so
it makes sense.
Sometimes I'll be looking, but I'm trying my best not to because it's not worth it. I can't. No, I
don't have a work phone. My work phone is my phone, so any messages I get from work come to my phone.
Ooh,
yeah. I'm really good at like ignoring, to be honest. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not working, but sometimes I do feel bad when it's like a student or residents who are freaking out, sending me like 10 messages. I'm like, oh my God. Sometimes I get calls too, and it's to my personal, which is ass.
That sucks.
Yeah. I just ignore it though. Have you ever cried after work? Just once or maybe multiple times?
Cried during lunch too.
Go save. It's part of the life. Okay, last one. Have you ever worked while sick because you didn't want to fall behind?
Yes, very recently actually. Yes.
That's tough. Yeah, I mean, that's hard for me too because I'm working from home, so like I can work from bed. Like really,
but it's not resting. Like
it's not.
You're still working.
It's not, but it's hard to separate it.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Okay, let's shout out our local small business for the week before we close it out officially.
Yay.
What is your local business that you want to shout out this week?
Mine is the C&H Bagels on Figueroa and Avenue 50.
Okay,
I just went. Yeah, funny enough, I saw a TikTok. They were like, you guys got to come and support this business. And I had driven down that road so many times because I used to go to a coffee shop there. And I'd never seen
That's when you posted about it.
Yeah. But it new. Cute. Yeah, because before I would just see a lot of like transplants and I'm like,
yeah.
But yeah, it's a Guatemalan owned like bagel coffee shop restaurant. It's a little bit of everything. Super cute space. Okay. Yeah. Cute. So bagels, I love a good bagel with salmon and they ate.
I love that.
Like I know where I'm getting my bagels now. They also have like Guatemalan. It's on like Highland Park area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's close.
Not far.
And they also have like traditional Guatemalan food, so you can get a little bit of everything.
That's cute. I love that.
It's great. Shout out to them.
Yay, cute. Yes. C&H Bagels.
C&H Bagels. Cool. Yeah.
My local business / it's gonna be a nonprofit actually this week. Is Inner City Struggle.
Yes,
I just recently did a collab with them and they are just so amazing. Like the work they do, I mean, I've always admired their work. it's all very much, obviously, very mission driven, very driven in wanting people to like, right now they're doing a lot of things around voting because it's a special election.
Go vote.
Yeah, by the time they see this, it's going to be over. But the importance of voting, and it's just, they care so deeply about their work, and they're so creative, and they want to just get the word out in general. So I admire Inner City Struggle. They have a lot of events if you're interested in ever attending, workshops, community spaces to get feedback, things like that. So I really, really admire the organization. I love
Inner City Struggle.
Yeah,
they're so vocal.
They are.
They're not afraid. They're not afraid, and that's what I love. It's not performative.
Exactly. Okay, and then what's your wellness tip for the day for everybody?
Yeah. Well, on the topic of work is just learning how to let go of your stress and anxiety that comes from work. Obviously, it's hard, but just leaving that shit at work because it's not worth it to bring it into your home.
Period. Yeah. Mine is definitely tapping into your creativity. It's so important that you, throughout the day, at some point in the nighttime, on the weekend, do something that's like fun, something that doesn't require you to be good at it. You don't need to be good. You just do it because you enjoy it. If it's a sport, if it's an art, if it's a personal project that you're excited about, like for us, it's the podcast, it could be, so something that like sparks that creativity and you get to actually work on and do for fun.
Well, thank you for tuning in today, and we hope these conversations hopefully resonated. If it did, please feel free to share it with your homegirls, your primas, or anybody who would benefit from these conversations. And thank you for tuning in again.
Yeah, healing is super personal, but it's also very collective. So we're always really grateful to be doing it with all of you. So please follow us on Instagram at Healing in Spanglish, and also subscribe wherever you're listening to on Spotify, YouTube, and also review, rate our podcast, please. Helps us. So thank you all so much.
Thank you. Hasta la próxima. Con mucho amor.